Greetings, fellow songwriters and seekers, and welcome to Muse and Measure. Please take a moment and tap the subscribe button down below. Today I want to talk to you about a cool way of coming up with chord progressions that I learned from the composer John Cage. Maybe you've heard of John Cage, but he was a really important avant-garde composer in the 20th century. And probably his most famous piece is 4 minutes and 33 seconds, where a piano player or whatever instrument basically sits in silence for 4 minutes and 33 seconds over 3 movements. And the music is the sounds of the environment. People coughing, people rustling in their seats. If you're listening alone, it's the sound of your own breathing, maybe sounds from outside. So this is an example of a piece that he composed. And he did a lot of groundbreaking work like this and made all kinds of contributions to not only music, but poetry, and just art in general. The strategy that I want to teach you about today is called chance operations, and it's basically how John Cage used music and notes and the I Ching to basically to write the music. So he would basically roll what are similar to dice, but these numbers would come up through the I Ching, and he would have a set note value and a set duration, and that's how he would compose. So it was not an expression of his innermost feelings or his thoughts, but it was an expression of this musicality through chance. And I want to show you how you could use that as a possible way of coming up with cool chord progressions or opening up possibilities if you're kind of stuck. Because a lot of us get stuck in, what we hear a lot, the most common chord progression is the 1-5, 6-4. You hear that a lot. Or just the 1-4-5. That's very, very common. You hear that in a lot of country music, blues music, rock and roll. So how could we get out of that possibly? Okay. Well, let's just pick a key. So let's do G just for fun. So there are 6 possible chords in the G major scale. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, and back to G. Okay, so we could use John Cage's method to kind of help us break out of our habits of going from the 1 to the 4 to the 5 or sticking to certain chord progressions just by rolling dice, right? So I have, since the age we're living in, everything is through the phone and through an app, through technology. I have this little dice app, and I'll just roll this and see what it comes up with. Okay, so for our first chord, get the 3 chord. So I'm going to start my chord progression on a B minor. Okay. Now I'm going to let chance tell me what I'm doing to next. Going to the 6th chord. Okay. So there's the 6th chord. Okay, so B minor to E minor, from the 3 to the 6. Okay, let's see what else it comes up with. 5 chord. Okay, let's see how these 3 chords together. So, and then the 5 chord would be. Okay. So far, I don't find it that interesting, but let's keep trying. Then going to the 6th chord again. That's interesting now. Okay, so this is our chord progression so far. We started with the 3 chord, then to the 6, 5, then back to the 6, 3, 6, 5. So already I can sort of hear a melody there. Okay. So just by doing this chance thing, now I've broken out of the usual habitual, like, oh, I've got to go the 1-4-5, or the usual chord progressions, the ones I've heard 1,000 times. Now we have an interesting chord progression. Now the dice are not always going to create all kinds of cool things, but they open up possibilities, especially if we're stuck in a rut. So once you've rolled the dice enough times and you've come up with a chord progression you think is kind of interesting, then see what kind of fruit it bears, right? So you can just start playing the chord progression over and over again and improvise, just kind of humming along, seeing what kind of melody pops up over this chord progression. of course, you decide if you can repeat or you're going to switch up the chord progression a little bit. But this is another way of coming up with unexpected chord progressions that you normally wouldn't compose. And hopefully it bears some fruit for you and gets you out of a songwriting rut. All right, well, best of luck.